Hi, I'm Daphne from Daps Makeup, and I am excited to talk to you today about Victoria Beckham's new eyeshadow palette called Eye Wardrobe. She has 4 palettes. I actually bought 2, but today we're only going to be talking about one of them, and you should know which one by the title, and you can figure it out by my eyeshadow look today. So I'm going to be specifically talking about the Navy Noir eyeshadow palette and her newest Satin Cajole eyeliner in the shade Jeans, because I felt like they paired well together. Now I did also buy the palette that's called Victoria, but I'm gonna do that in a separate video dedicated to that one, so stay tuned. I will, for this look, I did use a little bit of a couple of shades from that palette, so I do have a demo video for this look, so you will get a sneak peek of the Victoria eyeshadow palette, but definitely watch my next video because I will be totally dedicated to that palette. I will use all 4 shades, and even with this look I specifically use the 2 shadows I use very lightly because I didn't want those shadows to overpower this blue look. So trust me, I didn't like fully go into that palette, but I thought I'd give you a little sneak peek. But let's just talk for a second. This is actually not Victoria Beckham's first go around with eyeshadow palettes. She first came out with eyeshadow palettes that she called, I believe, Eye Bricks. Now, I never bought those, so unfortunately I will not be able to compare those palettes to the new palettes. You know, I'm going to delve in deep into these palettes, and I will compare this color story to eyeshadow palettes that I do own, but I won't be able to specifically compare it for you with her original eyeshadow palettes. But it does look like the Eye Wardrobe are a reformulated version of her Eye Bricks, and is now that they are phasing out the Eye Bricks. Actually, as of today, I try to go on the website, Victoria Beckham's website, and it looks like I couldn't find the Eye Bricks anymore. But you can get them at, in some department stores like Neiman Marcus, for example. So, but it does look like they're kind of phasing out of Eye Bricks and going into Eye Wardrobe. Now, there are some similarities between them in the sense that you have these 4 color shades. So actually, let's break out the one that I did get so you could see it. The packaging, I think, is somewhat similar, but I am told it's a little bit different, but I don't have it to let you know the exact differences between the palette. But beautiful packaging, weighty, you know, classic palette. It looks very similar to her bronzer, just smaller size. So packaging actually works the exact same way. It's just, it's smaller, and I actually do appreciate its small size. You press this button here to open it up, and then here you have the palette. And so I think even with the original, it was the same similar concept where you have 4 shadows, 3 smaller strips and 1 bigger strip. But like, I think what's nice is, like, you know, each one is in their separate wells, where that Eye Brick, they were kind of, it looked like they were all like, there was no separation. So there's always that potential, like you try to dip in your brush and contamination between colors. So I do like that she kept them separate. These are also refillable. I'm not sure if the other ones were refillable, but I'll just show you. Let me bring out the Victoria palette for a second. So when you get it, you buy the refill separately and then the case separately. So, you know, cost-wise, I'm just using this the scissors to open it up, but you can just go through the pee hole to lift it out. It's all magnetic. So yeah, you know, when I bought this, it came in a plastic packaging just like this. You got the mirror, the case, and then it just, boop, snaps in just easy like that, like a magnet. So easy to get in and get out of these cases. This particular palette, like I said, is called Navy Noir, which is the same name as one of her Satin Cajole eyeliners, one of my absolute favorite eyeliners. I will talk about it, and it does pair well with this palette. And so in the previous series, she did have a palette that was kind of similar. I feel like it had these 3 shades here, but the difference is, first off, her previous palettes were always all matte. Now she's introduced shimmer to these palettes. And in that one, it looked like the 3 smaller colors were this cornflower blue shade was also like would have been this strip over here, and then she had a very pale white kind of shade over here. So that's one reason I was never interested at that time, because the huge block was a pale white that I knew, especially for my complexion, I was not going to use. So I appreciated this time around she gave us a silver shimmer instead. So I really appreciate that. Now, in terms of the other palettes, there's one called Night Flash. I love Night Flash as an eyeliner. As a palette, I wasn't really into it just because it was very kind of stark, kind of white and black kind of a palette. So that's a palette I definitely knew I was not going to get. That palette was kind of similar to her previous brick palettes called, I think, Tuxedo and Signature. Wasn't interested in those palettes either because they were very pale colors. Now, this time she came around with a new color story that is totally different, that was nothing like anything that she's done before, which was this green palette. Green palette is called Olive. Love the Olive eyeliner. I was tempted to get that palette, but if you saw my last video, I just bought a green palette from Tom Ford, and I have some green palettes that I love from Natasha Denona, so I just decided I'd forego on the green palette. And of course, like I said, I did buy the other palette called Victoria. I'm really feeling this neutral brown color story. I think it's a little bit better than her previous very warm orangey toned tweed palette. So I think this is an upgrade in terms of color story and the fact that you get shimmers this time. So I definitely think that it looks like, for me, that these are an improvement from her previous palette. I really don't know how great those previous palettes were. I feel like there was a very lukewarm reception from the previous reviews that I've seen in the past. I don't know. But here we are. We're talking about the palettes that are reformulated for today. All right. And for those of you who have been following me on Instagram, Daps_makeup, you've seen me post several looks with this eyeshadow. I did a look essentially like a one and done with this cobalt blue. I paired it with the electric blueberry eyeliner. Perfect pairing. I did a look that was essentially one and done with this dark shade, and I paired it with navy noir eyeliner. Another beautiful pairing. I did another look which was kind of like a halo eye, where I did this shimmery shade on the center, and I paired it with this shade. Now this look, as you can see, does look very gray than blue. We'll talk about it. But it ended up pairing well with Night Flash eyeliner, because this shade does really lean more gray than blue, just giving you a heads up. But we're gonna get into this eye look. I did post a look before similar to this on my Instagram page, but this time let's do a demo video so you can see me use them in action. I use all 4 shades of the palette, and I pair it with the new Satin Control eyeliner Jeans, which this is a gorgeous shade and pairs well with this eye look. So watch this video, and then we'll do some swatch comparisons with her other blue eyeliners, and I'll do some swatch comparisons of the eyeshadow palette with other brands that I have that have kind of similar blue eyeshadow. So watch the video, and then we'll come back and talk, and I'll give you my final thoughts about the quality of this palette, because I do have thoughts. All right. Let's talk. So we're going to do a look together, focus on these 2 products, but I am going to sneak in a couple of shades, so do a couple of brown shades in my crease, so you'll get a sneak peek of the Victoria eye wardrobe as well. So keep watching. All right, so just to set my eyeshadow primer, yes, I'm going to use this very light shade. That is about close to my skin tone, just a little bit lighter. Luckily, it's not too ashy, but it is, any lighter than this, it would be, but it's just enough to work. All right, so to bring some warmth and depth, I am gonna go into this shade. Now, it is actually very pigmented, so I'm actually purposely gonna go softly into this look, into this shade, just because I don't want it to overpower the blue, since the focus of this look is specifically the blue. So I did this side already, but trust me, if I use a more denser brush, I could bring out the brown even more, but I want to keep it light and cool for this look. Okay, so we have switched over to the Navy Noir palette. I put the refill in here. This is our focus really for this eye look, so I'm gonna do my best to try to incorporate all 4 shades into this look as best as I can. We're gonna first start with this cornflower blue shade, and I'm gonna put it all over my lid. Loaded up my brush, and I'm really packing it on. And I think it's important. This is a shade that you definitely have to really load up your brush and pack it on, because I mean, I don't know if you can even see, it's like, even when I first put it on, it was a more of an intense blue, and then it kind of softens and I feel like you lose that blueness and it starts kind of fading into a light bluish gray tone. I'm gonna do the same on the other side. And I hope you can even see, like, see how this is over time, this is getting lighter, grayer. And this one is a little bit more blue because I did this one first, and this one, it just, as time goes on, you just kind of notice this kind of fades in terms of the color. That's something I've been noticing with this particular shade. But anyway, we'll talk about that more later. I'm gonna now go into this vibrant cobalt blue shade. And let's have some fun. I know this is kind of a wild look, but we're gonna do this into crease and just blend this out. And I'm probably gonna put some on like the outer third. So I'm gonna do the same on the other side. But I hope you can just see, like, I kind of feel like this cornflower blue shade just keeps disappearing on me real time. Yeah, let's just kind of check in with each other at this point in this eye look. Like I said, it's not like it completely disappeared, but like I said, this cornflower blue shade is definitely lighter than when I first put it on. I don't know if you could see, but maybe like we're disappearing a little bit over here. So I'll probably just go in with my brush to just make sure there's no patchiness in any spots. All right, so let me just do a little bit of fixing and then we will get into the other 2 shades. All right, so let's add some sparkle to this look. We're gonna just go in the inner corner. Just bring a little sparkle. And then we'll go in the deepest shade, and I might actually use it as liner at the top, but I do want to use new eyeliner on the bottom. So actually, let's do the eyeliner first. I love her eyeliners, and she has this new shade called Jeans, which I think is a perfect match for this eye look. Just gonna, it just glides so smoothly on the lid. I'm just gonna do the lower lash. Oops, that was me. But I'm just gonna do the lower lash line. Here, I'm even gonna smudge it, because that's the beauty of these. You can just smudge them, and it's actually kind of cool for the smoky look. But I'm gonna use the darker shade as liner up top. So, all right. So I'm gonna go into the deepest shade and try to use this as eyeliner up top. So I got it on my. I'm gonna try my best to do this on camera. I kind of suck doing this on camera, so I will kind of fix and do it up off camera, but I want to at least start it on camera for you guys. So let me fix off camera and then go from there. So I finished the liner with the dark shade, deep navy blue. All right, so I'm gonna add mascara, finish the rest of my makeup, and then we'll come back together. All right, so I finished the look. This is what I came up with. So let's just get a closer look to these beautiful blue eyeshadow look. I did pair the eyeshadow with Chanel Blue Night Mascara, my absolute favorite mascara, but you can see how this perfectly matches the eyeshadow, so I thought that was a great pairing. On the cheeks, I got Gucci Warm Berry blush, Fenty Yum Rum highlighter. Got a whole neutral lipstick combo going on. I did use the Victoria Beckham bronzer, number 5, all over my face as well. So, all right, so here it is. That's the finished look. So now let's get together and let me give you my final thoughts. All right, let's just quickly talk about the eyeliner first. Victoria Beckham's Satin Control eyeliners are my favorite eyeliners, period. I own so many because I really feel like she has the best formula. So the formula is not a question. So let's talk about the shade. I love this shade. It's such, Jeans is the perfect name for it. It's a beautiful shade. Now I do own other blue liners from Victoria Beckham. I posted online shade comparisons. Happy to let you know they are distinctly different. So Jeans is a more grayish blue shade. Navy Noir is a deep navy blue. Electric Blueberry is a truly fluorescent electric blue, and Surfside is a teal shade. And as you can see from the swatches, these 4 shades are distinctly different blues, so you don't have to worry about repeat. I'm very happy that I own all 4 blue shades, no regrets. All right, now back to the eyeshadow palettes. Now before I give you my final thoughts on the formula, and I do have some thoughts, before I get to that, I thought I'd have some fun first and do some swatch comparisons to other eyeshadow palettes that I felt might have some similar blue shades to help you out to see, do you need this palette or not if you own some of these other palettes. So I've already swatched these 4 shades, all right? So you can see which 4, but I've already swatched them on my arm. So what I'm gonna start doing is palette by palette. I pulled out 6 other palettes from different brands that I'll swatch over here, and then we'll do some swatch comparisons. All right, let's have some fun. First palette up, I thought I would compare it to Dior Blue Velvet. I think this is probably maybe one of the best comparisons to do color story wise. So once again, up top is the Victoria Beckham and below is the Dior. And as you can see, very similar color stories. So if you have this palette, you know what? You probably don't need to get Victoria Beckham. Now, formulas are different. Just even from the swatch, I'm like, yeah, the formulas are different. You know, Dior calls this blue velvet, and I get it. It does have a very velvety, it's very velvety smooth. I will say, you know, Dior's eyeshadow formulas lately have been a little bit hit or miss, but this was a good formula from Dior. So it still has that like cornflower kind of thing going on. The navy blue here is definitely more deeper, darker. The blue from Victoria Beckham, the cobalt blue, is more cobalt and bright. This is more muted. And then with the silver, I will say that you could see actually Victoria Beckham's shimmer actually has a little bit more shimmer and glitter to it. These are more satiny. This is more satiny, and this is more of a real true shimmer. So the formulas are not the same, but similar color story. I think actually I probably might even give the nod to Dior for the mattes, but maybe the Victoria for the shimmer formula. Just off the swatches. Just saying. All right, let's pick another palette. Next up, we have from YSL. I think it was called Sky Palmieri, I think. So I just swatched only these 2 blue shades. You know, just felt those would be the most comparable. Yeah, I mean, you know, looking at these 2 shades versus these 2 shades, similar. I think the YSL has a brightness to it. The formulas are very different. YSL has a powdery, like cloud-like formula to it. It feels very different. There's a softness. I don't know. It's just different in terms of the formula. But you know, these 2 shades do have some similarity to these 2 shades. Let's keep it going. Next up, we're going to compare it to an old Clé de Peau palette. This is prior to the most recent formulation. I had just bought just the refill, not the case. And I just swatched just the 3 blue shades. once again, some similarities. I would say formula-wise, it's more similar to the YSL. Like I said, much more satiny, lighter. It's just different rather than being more of a matte. But kind of more muted and just a very different formula. But once again, similar color stories. I don't know if you guys remember this old Natasha Denona palette back when she made these big 5 shadow palettes. This was number 3. I just did just these 4 shades. I skipped on this one. I think this one would just be very different. So, like I said, once again, we're in this whole like cornflower blue kind of color story. So it's got a silver. So some similarities. These colors are more muted. The color's muted, but the pigmentation's more impactful. Natasha does not play, so the shine is more impactful. The pigmentation is more impactful. So the color's muted, but the pigmentation, I'm telling you, is stronger. Natasha Denona mattes blend so beautifully. Her formula is spectacular, especially when she was coming out with these ones. Definitely. Right, next, bringing out Viseart. These are cool mattes too. And I just swatched just these 4 shades in the center. Here we go. Maybe more muted in tone. If you want some really good quality mattes, Viseart is the way to go. But in terms of an all matte kind of blue color story, these are great and just great formula. But still some differences, from the Victoria Beckham. One last one. Last palette is from Nabla. This was the Cutie palette, this palette. So I just did these 4 here. Some similarities, but definitely different. I mean, the closest maybe this one. Otherwise, these other shades are a little bit more white or more blue. So there you go. Those are all the ones I could really think of from my collection. I thought about doing like Dior Denim, but I felt that leaned more teal. I think this was a good enough comparison for you guys. So there are other palettes that have some similar color stories. I will say that all these palettes have different formulas. So let's talk about specifically the Victoria Beckham formula. Actually, one more. If we're going to talk about the Victoria Beckham eyeshadow formula, actually, let me just compare one of her single shadows. It's the only one I own. I'm not big into single shadows, but I actually do like her single shadow. This is the one that I have called Midnight. Because a lot of single shadows I don't use, but hers I do use on special occasions. I was tempted to get her new green one, which I haven't picked up yet, but let's just compare this color. There you go. So it is different from these blues. This is so gorgeous. And the formula, I love this formula actually. It's expensive, these single shadows, are expensive, but I actually don't have regrets that I own this one, and I'm actually still tempted to get her newest green one. But it is different, and the formula is different from the palette. So yeah, now let's talk about this palette. Talking about this palette, and you might have gotten it a little bit from me doing the demo video for this eye look that we did today. So let's just go shade by shade. I want to talk about this one. I mean, overall, let me just say, I love this look. I've actually had a lot of fun creating looks. I've created like 4 or 5 looks with this. I'm actually enjoying it. I'm having fun. But I do have some critiques. So with this shade, I don't know, it's just me, when I looked at this, I was like, oh, this is going to be a really pretty cornflower blue shade. The thing about it is, and I have it on my lid, it's kind of like, I hope you appreciate from the video, like I would take it on my brush, what I see in the palette, what I see in my brush, I pat it on and I would see this beautiful light blue, but quickly it would just dissipate, and it kind of fades, and it doesn't disappear, but it's not as prominent blue, and then it just leans more gray. And this one is definitely one, it's important to have an eyeshadow primer. I do worry about its longevity a little bit. So that's the only thing. Just know, at least on me, on my skin tone, it leans gray. Pretty, but gray. This navy blue, I know I only use it as liner today, but I've used it as a one and done. Actually might be the best of these in alternative formula. It's very pigmented, so you can do a one and done. You can do it to provide depth. So this is a pretty good shade. This cobalt blue, I love the color. I love the vibrancy. It's beautiful. You know, I used it all today and I love it. It can get a little bit patchy. Not horrible, but it can be. So these blues, I mean, I think all three of them can be. I think this is probably the best one, but these can be a little bit patchy, so you do have to kind of go back over sometimes and pack a little bit more, or fix a little bit more, blend a little bit more, that kind of thing. This specific complaint, I think, is specific to this palette, so don't apply to all Victoria Beckham palettes. I don't own the green or the white and blue, but I do already own this one. I've only done like one look with this so far, but I haven't had the same issue here, and we'll talk about it later in my next video. So what I say about this palette does not necessarily apply to her other palettes. I think it's specifically because of this blue formulation. So a lot of brands have a tough time with colors like blues and purples. This shimmer is great. No major issues with this shimmer. I've done it on the all over the lid and inner corner, and I love it. So overall, like I said, I do worry about the blues can be a little patchy. They can kind of, the color, particularly this one, can kind of fade a little bit. But overall, I do just love the cloud-like smoky look that I get with this palette. So I'm not mad that I own it. I love the packaging. It's got a weightiness to it. It looks beautiful. I like its small size. It's great to travel with. I can fit in my purse. I'm not into the big bulky palettes anymore. So I actually love the packaging. I think this is a fun color story. It's not a perfect eyeshadow formula, but it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. And I'll talk to you a little bit later, but I think even the formula is even better on this one in the next video. So let's end here. I hope you found this video helpful. If you aren't already subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing to my channel. Definitely follow me on my next video for this palette. But until then, I just hope you have a great day. So I'm just gonna say bye.